I'm an uncle. I love being an uncle. I don't want kids right now. I don't need kids. I can give them a sugar rush, and I can send them back home to their parents. One of the most interesting memories I have at one of my niece's birthday parties is at a bougie Chuck E. Cheese. You know, those smelly incubants of viral plague that exist in this country. Kids have birthday parties there. And this bougie Chuck E. Cheese was called Kids Castle. Of course, my niece is a princess, so it's appropriate that she have her birthday party at a castle. It was a fun birthday party, showed up, left, go to the valet area. It's a bougie Chuck E. Cheese, right? So there's valet only. I show up, there's no one at the valet area. I'm assuming folks are getting other people's cars, and it's just me standing next to the valet booth. A white lady walks out of Kids Castle, pushing a stroller. She's walking towards me. She takes out her valet ticket and waves it in front of me, indicating to me that she's ready for me to go retrieve her vehicle. That was a bad experience. But what I understood from that moment was that she was projecting onto me internalized stereotypes of race. That's what happened in the moment. I was frustrated. I was angry. And you know what I saw on her face? I looked over and I said, I'm waiting for my car too. I saw on her face the face of guilt. She knew what she did was wrong. And I really appreciated that. As frustrated as I was, to have somebody come up to me and project an internalized stereotype of race, that guilt gave me some comfort that she would go home having learned something from our interaction. I think about my first day of middle school, and before I even went to middle school, I had to take an exam. In the Los Angeles Unified School District, you have to take a test that will determine whether you are gifted, highly gifted, or not gifted. Fortunately, I passed the exam, and I'm going to let you determine whether I'm gifted or highly gifted. But that test is what gives you opportunities to amazing educational experiences within the public education system in LA. And so I was excited to go to middle school because I was offered the opportunity to attend a very prestigious humanities magnet. I woke up for the first day of school. I put on my best clothes I could find in the closet. I had my backpack ready. I waddled over to the bus stop. I was so excited to be in this new environment because I knew that I was smart, I was intelligent. That's the messaging that was given to me in preparation for my first day. I showed up to my first class, walked in, and nobody looked like me. It was an awful experience to not feel like you can relate to anyone in that room. When I'm frustrated, when I'm dealing with something heavy, I like to retreat to nature. Nature's a great, great cure for anything. Because when you look up at the stars, when you look up at the universe, you understand that what you're going through is only one small piece of what we call this expansive universe, right? It was an eye-opening moment for me to be in nature and to think about that. When I was getting ready to go to college at the age of 17, I was looking to do something larger than life, right? When you're 17, you realize that you're about to go to college. I didn't think about myself as unique or special, and I didn't understand why what happened at Kids Castle or what happened in middle school happened. But I did understand that I was one of very few people. I'm one of 17.1% Latinos in this country. So I do know that I fall within a very unique category. And at the age of 17, I was looking for something larger than life, as I mentioned. And I found it. I was nominated for the Posse Foundation Scholarship, a very prestigious opportunity. Got vetted through a 3-month rigorous interview process, and I became a Posse Scholar here at Grinnell College. Yeah, amazing school. So unlike my middle school experience, my Posse experience was extremely positive. For 8 months before I came to campus, I met with my Posse weekly for a series of intellectual dialogues. It was so cool and so empowering to sit in a room full of people that looked like me and had some similar political persuasions as myself. We felt like we were ready to conquer the world. We jumped on a plane, we came to Grinnell, we got off the plane, we rolled into town, and not very many people looked like us. And that makes sense. People don't look like us in higher education. They don't. But what I understood at Grinnell College was that I had to accept my own diversity, my own difference, and in turn, the community around me would also accept my diversity and my difference. It's a two-way exchange, right? I had a great time at Grinnell College. I graduated on time, right, with a degree in sociology, and I was fortunate enough to find a job in a time where we were about to hit a very bad recession. I'm one of the lucky ones. So the Posse Foundation offered me my first full-time job after college. And that I thought was a very appropriate career for me, to have felt empowered through a process that made me feel special, and then in turn work for an organization that is changing lives and helping institutions cultivate diversity. Every day I went to work, I loved it. I loved walking into the office, and I loved seeing people that looked like me. People that looked like me and people that had very similar political persuasions as I did. It was an amazing experience for someone fresh out of college to step into. My peers, however, those that went on to work for Fortune 500 companies, those who went on to work in the private sector, did not have the same experience. I wondered why. That's the breakdown of diversity amongst Fortune 500 CEOs in our country. That's not okay. That is not okay. You remember the slide I showed you on demographics in higher education, right? I'm going to bring it back to you in a minute, but in terms of Fortune 500 CEOs, there are 6 Black, 9 Asian, 10 Latino, and 24 women leading Fortune 500 companies in this country. Can anybody guess how many Fortune 500 companies there are? 500, in case you're wondering. It's in the name. I know some of you were probably thinking, is it 432? It's 500. That's the diversity at the senior level in Fortune 500 CEOs. Our economy is driven by that. It's an important tenet to the American experience. That's just the private sector. Politics and Congress are the legislative force that drive policy in this country. And that's the breakdown in Congress. Still not okay. I'm Latino. There are 3 senators in this country that are Latino. None of them are actually from California, which is where I'm from. So who's really representing my voice, right? This is not okay. It's not okay because that's the population that we're educating in this country. And although there's some proportional difference already from the demographics in this country to who we're admitting and accepting into institutions of higher education, that's what it parlays into. we haven't accepted our own diversity in this country. And that's a problem. So what do we do with all of this information? What do we do with this kind of data? What do we do with these kinds of stories and anecdotal information? At the higher education level, institutions should be investing in diversity initiatives such as Posse's. They should. It's no longer a question of politics. It's doing what's right for the country. Grinnell College invested in a model. Because Grinnell College invested in the Posse Foundation, an opportunity, a door was opened for me to come to this institution. And here I am today. That's what opportunity can do for Americans. Outside of diversity initiatives, we need to start reconsidering who we're letting into higher ed institutions. When you apply to college, you're simply submitting a college application, a personal statement, and an SAT score. And your SAT score is really indicative of how many resources are available to you so that you can prep and practice for an exam that's going to distinguish you amongst other candidates in a pool. That's really all it is. It's an indicator of wealth, which is why we see that discrepancy. We need to start thinking beyond the SAT, and we need to start thinking about grit and stories that students have to tell. In the private sector and in the workforce, we have to start thinking creatively as well. We have to think outside the box. When a recruiter sees an applicant's information, do you know what they're really looking at? Your resume. That's it. At least in higher ed, you get 3 variables, right? Your application, your personal statement, and a test score. In the workforce, it's one piece of paper that serves as a summary of the opportunities that were afforded to you. The for-profit sector needs to start thinking outside the box. We have to also invest in diversity initiatives because that difference is not okay in this country anymore. That's not okay. The social landscape in America has shifted dramatically. It has tremendously. And we as people in power, we as Americans, we as people who operate in day-to-day US public life have to take ownership of accepting each other's diversity. We have to get past ourselves. We have to get past our guilt. We have to embrace one another because America is changing and so must we. Thank you.